So it's almost like he's borrowing from himself to add to his wealth. He's done it again. He's in the headlines. I think Elon Musk is allergic to staying out of the headlines. What's up? What's up? What's up? Welcome back, y'all, to another episode of Autonomous Income. I'm your co-host, Deuce Noble.
And I'm your co-host, DJ. What's going on today, Deuce?
Hey, man, another day, another dollar. We got some pretty big news. Just a few things that's been happening in the airways and the byways, but some tech stuff we're going to talk about. SpaceX, of course, is in the news. It's been pretty heavy in the news in our rotation lately. So we're going to talk about what they did and what they've announced. And then also, one of my favorite topics, we're going to talk about sneakers just a little bit and some bots that are running and ruining the sneaker world and what that looks like. So we're going to unpack those things and just kind of dive in and see where we go from there. But what else? You got anything else, DJ?
No, man, I definitely want to get on the sneaker topic because we know bots have been running rampant for a while. But now that, AI is more prevalent, a lot more people have access to these tools. I can only imagine that it's going to get worse before it gets better, it seems like. So, and matter of fact, maybe I'll have a chance of getting me some shoes because I always lose. I never get in, I don't know all the tricks that y'all have on there. So
Hey,
we're going to
listen,
see how that works.
it ain't for the weak, I'll tell you that much. But you know what? Let's go ahead and we'll put that one on the back burner. But let's go ahead and dive in. Let's talk about what Elon Musk has done. He's done it again. He's in the headlines. I think Elon Musk is allergic to staying out of the headlines. He has to stay relevant. And today, of course, SpaceX has now rebranded to SpaceX AI, and XAI has folded and dissolved into SpaceX, so to speak. They've rebranded with a new logo, and the new handle on X for XAI is now SpaceX AI, which I think is interesting because now we're looking at the onset of the AI into space exploration, so to speak. And of course, this all folds into Elon Musk's $1 trillion empire. But yeah, DJ, let me know what you think about what's been going on with that rebrand. Like, what do you think is going to come out of it? How do you feel? What are your speculations?
It's very interesting. I mean, and I think you called it out last week when we spoke about it, just talking about now we have space and AI. Like, what does it mean? And I mean, and the NASDAQ right now, I mean, they're loving it on the stock market, which, we don't give stock advice or anything like that, financial advice, but I'm just saying, like, as it is right now, it looks like it's, they love the kind of merger and the direction that it's going. Very futuristic, you know what I mean? So
No, I think the thing that's what really interests me about it, right? And I think I've said this a while ago, maybe months ago. We talked about how the rich stay richer, right? Or the richer they stay lining your pockets. But think about this. Elon Musk has SpaceX, he now has X, and he has Tesla. He continues to bounce and play off of his companies, right? SpaceX, of course, acquired XAI, if you want to say it that way, right? So it's almost like he's borrowing from himself to add to his wealth, right? And because SpaceX acquired XAI, they rebranded it completely into one company, essentially, which is crazy to think about from a business perspective, how that works. But it's very, very, very smart business. Like I said, the rich stay rich. But like you said, to see what comes out of this, everything under one roof. We have Grok under there, X, spaceships, things, and social media all under one roof. Kind of scary.
yeah, man, Grok's under there. All the developer stuff, between Grok, Cursor, of course, and their parent company.
And Cursor.
Yeah, all of that's kind of rolled up under this SpaceX AI brand. It's hard, to say that fast, but SpaceX AI brand, all together. I think, honestly, it makes sense because, I mean, you got to think, that's a lot of disparate companies that he was kind of managing and all this, and then you bring it all together. I think they have one, mantra now, that their mission statement or whatever the case is, just so now I kind of, you have all these things that can tool it together. And I mean, it seems cool on the outside of it. And apparently the market thinks so as well. I think it's just, interesting to kind of see where this is going to head and how soon. Like, it's like when the next thing that we'll see when these brands like merge together, what's going to be the first thing that they drop as an outcome out of that? You know what I mean? Like, what is going to be the first thing that once everything under one roof, because of course, you got to get your roadmaps aligned and all this other stuff. And it's not like he didn't know and it didn't have connective tissue anyway, but
Of course.
basically,
I mean,
yeah.
now that SpaceX has gone public and they had their blockbuster IPO,
Yeah.
it's a lot easier to take a peek under those covers. And we can see looking through the financials that last year alone, they put over 12 billion into AI investment, SpaceX that is. So they've been, publicly been known for their rockets and their extraterrestrial endeavors. They have been heavily invested into AI, even more so than we've probably imagined. But looking at the numbers, man, have been hitting it hard. And I can only imagine what they have in store, even some of those connective tissues with Starlink and their satellite internet service. The next generation of things and wave of things might be upon us. Because, I mean, I might hate to say it, but look, I'm gonna give it early. This is my whole 2 cents on the thing, right? As the tables turned, look, think about Elon Musk and what he did with cars way back when, right? Coming out with that initial Tesla Roadster that nobody thought he could do. Even Lotus themselves gave him that initial model, told him he could tear it apart and put a battery in it and said, all right, that's not going to work, right? He was so far ahead, and I can only imagine what he's thinking to do with SpaceX AI. Yeah, you're right. That is kind of hard to say, right?
Right.
Now, the infrastructure deals could be crazy. I mean, this Business Insider stated that SpaceX AI landed some infrastructure deals with Anthropic, right? And Anthropic's agreeing to pay SpaceX or SpaceX AI 1.25 billion a month for access to its compute power at its colossal data center, and Google's also agreeing to pay 920 million a month. Right. So these things exist. We talked about OpenAI having something up their sleeve. SpaceX got something coming cooking too.
Yeah. So I mean, definitely let us know in the comments, what you guys think about that. Like, is it about the merger of SpaceX and the XAI? What is your speculation on that? Just something that's new in the news is very interesting. And this is just definitely a unique time. What a time to kind of just be around and kind of see all these things going on. Because I mean, it wasn't on my bingo card ever just to kind of just think about like being, like on the frontier of, just like this, space exploration, and they're talking about terraforming planets and all this other stuff, it's just like, and you hear about a lot of that with sci-fi and fantasy, but I mean, like, this
Of
is being
course.
driven right now. Like we're at the precipice of like a lot of this
Hey,
stuff like
this
coming
is
into
this is
fruition. Yeah.
multiverse talk, okay?
Yeah, it's wild. I mean, but it is cool. But like the stock market, if you look at that, it sounds like that they believe in the mission. They believe in him, in Elon being able to pull those things together and drive that forward. And I have to tell you, Deuce, I always say it again, like with the self-driving vehicles and everything that they have, and like using them and being inside those, like that's pretty good. And also, you see those rockets that they have, that land back after, like the land
Yeah.
themselves, and like, if anybody could do it, this guy seems like he's just got to, he has that capability to execute and get those things done. So we shall definitely see how that unfolds. Now, the timeline, that's where, of course, it always comes into an issue, just like, because, self-driving was supposed to be like 10 years ago for, unsupervised. So I know that's sometimes he gets a lot of flack about that, but I'm sure, building the future, takes time.
And of course, speaking of the future, SpaceX claims or plans to deploy AI compute satellites or
Yeah.
data centers in space as early as 2028. And that is less than 2 years away. So
Mhm.
it'll be interesting to see what that looks like in the very near future.
Now, as we segue over to
What you got? What
how
you
are
got
you
for
gonna?
me?
I'm curious because you see all them shoes in Deuce's background over there, and I'm just
I
saying,
got a
like,
couple back there.
I can't get a pair. You know what I mean? I got to be
Hey,
digital
listen,
over here in the
this
background
might
because
be
I
a
can't put the shoes on.
virtual background. You don't never know.
Nah, that ain't virtual. That ain't virtual. Yeah, that ain't virtual at
Yeah,
all.
it's a little
So
backdrop I got.
what we want to talk through is now Google just announced they announced this at Google I/O. They're kind of, I mean, maybe it's not a bot, Deuce, and I don't know how they're explaining it, but it's a tool that you can use, and you can set it to notify you right away or make purchases for you when things are available. And in the sneaker, in the sneaker realm, as a sneakerheads know, you have to have, there's these bots. And I think Nike reported, it was reportedly that 50% of their drops, there's bot activity, essentially, that bots are purchasing these shoes. And so now I guess the angle that you look at it, I mean, is AI messing with the culture? Is it enhancing the culture because people that didn't know how to do bots, you leverage bots? Like, is this a new Google Chrome feature? Is that make this a worse or better for people? You know what I mean? Like, what's your take on that, man?
So I'll say this. I am interested to see how it's working, how it will work, right? But however, now that Gemini is being completely integrated and matriculated through Google Chrome, you're getting to use a lot of those features in Chrome itself. Now, with that means Gemini in Chrome, you can use it to browse and fill your shopping cart, book a reservation automatically, right? Just through a simple tab, and it'll go through and find these things for you. And it'll do all the tasks that you need, right? Which is similar to what it was doing on the phone, kind of. Let's say you remember when the assistant came out and it will call and book a appointment for you or make a reservation for you, right? I think this is just a step up. Now it's giving you the opportunity to fill your shopping cart, do those things. Now, like you said, if we get to a point where Nike or sneakers or whoever is having a drop, Foot Locker, drop happening in 20 minutes, I want my Gemini to be ready, locked and loaded on the refresh soon as that 10 o'clock a.m. 00 hit, put that shoe in the cart, right? Now, it's interesting because a lot of those websites or companies, Nike, Foot Locker, Finish Line, they all have quote unquote, I guess, bot blockers, so to speak, right? They always say, hey, you're in line, we're removing the bots, making sure, you get
That don't seem to work though,
a
man.
fair
That don't
shot.
seem to work.
It don't seem to work because I'm always losing and it's always
Yeah, that's what I'm
somebody
saying, man.
I'm
Yeah.
losing to. I'm catching the L to somebody who is do not really care. They over there bending this bending the toe boxes. I mean, I will say this. I think this is it will be cool to see, but I don't necessarily want to call it a bot, but essentially that's what it is, right?
I mean, yeah, that's sort of thing. Like, I don't think they're calling it a bot because bot, it has a bad connotation, right? Negative connotation. So,
Okay, all right. Well, let's break it down like this. Hold on. Let's kind of unpack this. If we think about it, their connotation, but let me think about what a bot is, right?
hmm
And from a simple layman's term, essentially it is a program or a piece of code that goes in, scrapes a website, finds what you're looking
yes,
for, and purchase
automated
it
scripts, right?
automatically,
Yeah,
right? It's an automated
yeah.
script, right? That you can do and looks for certain things, right? Now, what would this thing be doing? It's a more advanced bot, essentially, because AI does. Because if you think about it, a bot, that's why they have all those checkers to see if you're a human, right? So,
Yeah.
what is this? Select the bridge or select the bridge in this picture, right? Because bots just scrape a page to see what's on it, but it can't, really see. But if you think about what AI has in store, it's essentially computer vision and it understands how to read things and adapt to different sites and tell you what's on it in a different way than just scraping the page.
I mean, yeah, now the AI is getting a little bit more advanced. And again, that goes back to the culture. Like, how does that impact? Because it's already been an issue, right? I mean, like, so, and it's definitely before like capture, what you're describing, and like these other tactics that people try to use to kind of block some of that. And I know, people make effort to block those things, but for
Right.
sure, sometimes it's like all this activity, or worse, like it just shuts down. Like, you've ever been something and it's just lagged because all the servers have
Man,
been,
what?
impacted. Like, and you can't even get to like it's crawling, right? I mean, so, and I know I want to say reportedly F5 Lab, basically that, like I know that they had like a bot ring or something like that. They said they generated over like 2 million in profit by deploying like 1,400 distinct IPs and 2,600 fake accounts to bypass anti-bot defenses. Like, these are like, and that's just one, like there's a lot of these things that are going on all together collectively. And I'm just trying to get us some shoes, I'm just trying to, get something that's fresh. And not everybody's like a sneakerhead or whatever the case is, but this happens a lot of new tech drops, right? I mean, it's like, new phones or new whatever that comes out. Oh, the PlayStation 5. Remember when that was coming out and you couldn't buy one? Now, granted, that's,
Man,
there's
you
there's
couldn't buy one for
supply demand.
2 years.
You couldn't buy one for a
Every time,
long
every
time.
time
Yeah.
it dropped, they was back up on
It
StockX
was back.
selling
Yeah.
for
But a lot of
three
it was bots.
times.
Yeah. The same thing was like bots and then resellers get a hold of that and everything. So, just sticking in the vein, like, when it comes to sneakers.
Not saying I plead the fifth, not saying I don't know how to use a bot, not saying I never use one, but all I'm saying is them bots be looking very, very good as opposed to me losing on all these draws, okay?
Yeah, so so just like I said, I know the Nike GM. I want to say Lucy Rouse. If sorry if I'm pronouncing the name. Just mentioned they reportedly she mentioned that up to 50% of all their purchases like when they have a major drop is basically bot activity, and despite them trying not to have it. So either way, what got us thinking about it, because right now in tech, like, you have Google releasing these features that aren't necessarily, I guess we're not gonna, I mean, technically, like Deuce, you said, like it might be called a bot. Google won't say it's a bot, but they have this shopping assistant now that you'll will be able to like have it watch certain items and then buy it for you as soon as they become available. Now, how is this gonna work?
Google's not going to call this a bot. However, do you think Google's put all bots out of business? Because if you think about it, right, the bots that are out there, they're paid for, right? And they're typically not cheap, what you would think is cheap, right? Like some could go for two, three,
Hmm.
four, even 500 a year, right? Just to use the bot. You pay it for the year, or however, the people who create these bots could go out of business because Gemini could put them out of business, right? Which is interesting because if it's able to do what it not claims, but what we think, right, DJ? I think that Gemini could really set up a lot of things for people, and it could really change the dynamic of online shopping and in-person shopping, honestly. Because what am I going to wait in line for? I can write a prompt, say, hey, this is coming out, look for if it's in stock. If it is, here's my credit card information. Buy it for me. I don't even have to actively shop anymore. Like, if you think about this, could completely change the game for everything. And I'm not even talking about shoes, right? We're talking about how people buy everyday things, grocery shop, right? I mean, we've already seen how COVID and 2020 changed DoorDash orders and Instacart orders people receive,
Oh
right?
yeah, man.
I know a lot of people still may not grocery shop on an app or have groceries delivered to them, but there's quite a bit more people who doing it now than they did 6 years
A
ago,
lot of
right?
people. Yeah, I mean, you looking at it. I don't really like going to the grocery stores a lot. Now, granted, you have your half. Like some people I know, like I have a friend of mine. They want to see every item, and they
Yeah,
want to
yeah, I
pick the
get that.
specific whatever, right? They want to pick the fruit and all that. But then you have somebody like, I think it'll be fine enough, and it won't be 100% all the time, but usually it's pretty
Yeah, yeah,
good.
yeah.
So
This could change shopping in general. I'm just thinking because like what Google is trying to do is change how you browse and use your internet or your browser, your internet browser, so to speak, right? It's
well, they're
getting an
bringing in more
upgrade.
and more Gemini. Yeah.
It's getting
Bringing
an
in more and
upgrade.
more. I mean, the question that I would have to, sneakerheads that are, watching in the audience, would you pay a subscription fee to like a retailer if they guaranteed like a bot free, like human only shopping experience? Like, is that something that you would pay for? Or I'm wondering like now if like you got a feature like, because I want to say with Google's new shopping feature that you have to be on their plus or ultra plan. So, I mean, like, so now it's kind of like you're paying to get bot access, basically through them, essentially. Like, so I wonder, what's y'all's take on that? How do you feel about that? Do you like it? Do you think it increases your chances of getting something? And then, Deuce, from this perspective, man, what is it going to look like now? I mean, the next Nike drop might be really wild. Or the next whoever, I mean, it could be Adidas, like whatever shoe brand that you're looking for, like I just think it's gonna be interesting, man. I really think it's gonna be interesting to see how that unfolds, and what can people do? What can be done about that?
Now that you say that, I just had a thought and I went to look real quick. And of course, I found an article from a few months ago that Nike partners with Google Gemini on AI shopping. And see, this is exactly what I was going to say this that I
See,
bet
see, see.
Gemini can put bots out of business and cut Nike in on the profit, right? And I'm not saying that's what's happening, not saying that's what's
Yeah,
happening at
yeah,
all.
yeah. Hey,
But if I put my 2 cents on it, if I
state your
had two
sources out there.
pennies,
Style, put your sources out
if I
there.
had two
Yeah.
pennies, you know what I'm saying? Here's the thing: what Nike could do, and what they sounds like they might be doing. They're putting Nike products directly through Google's Gemini app in AI search mode, and say, "Hey, here's a
Allegedly,
new
reportedly,
AI powered
allegedly,
shopping
maybe,
experience."
yeah, yeah, allegedly reported. Weird. Yeah, I mean, it that could, it's speculative. It could be a thing, but that's definitely something we need to look for. Yeah.
I don't know how credible this source is, this article I found, but the feature says it will launch early June, and we are now in July. So
I don't know. I don't know,
it's
but I
interesting, I
mean,
will say.
so maybe, the hot take would be like the retail sneaker drop is dead and bots killed it, So like all kind of different brands need to, the whole AI bot situation that's going on, man, like that just, I don't know, either they need to address it,
However,
or if you just need to jump in on the bandwagon and just like you're going to pay for a bot. And then now it's going to be like, hey, you pay for this service and it has a better bot than this other service. And that'll guarantee you a purchase or whatever the case is. It's just, It's crazy.
I wonder, Dot Swoosh, they folded Dot Swoosh, but Nike had a NFT site called Dot Swoosh, where they were selling NFTs. Actually, I had early access to it when it dropped, but I remember seeing that it folded. But I think they might be doing something new with some AI and blockchain with Dot Swoosh. But who
Mm.
knows what that shopping experience look like? For all those sneakerheads out there, all those for the culture, trying to check in on what AI can do for you and your shoes, how do you guys think this will affect you? Do any of y'all use bots? No judgment here if you do, because you got to get it how you
I'm
live,
judging.
honestly.
Nah,
I mean, listen, if you've been scarred enough, if you've been on
nice.
sneakers and copped all them L's after L
Boy.
after L, I've been there. I've also had some wins,
Yeah, look
but
behind him. Just look. Deuce move a little bit to the right. He told me I
listen,
got some win.
listen. When they dropped the Netflix documentary for the L's on sneakers, tap
You
me
know,
in, bruh. You know what I'm saying? Look, I'm gonna put my mic on and everything, yo.
that's
Look,
hilarious, man.
here
That
we
is
go.
hilarious.
Put me in the game because I got a story to tell. But all in all, I think this is be interesting just to see how Google and Gemini reshape the shopping experience, whether it's for sneakers
Yep.
or anything.
Yeah, I mean, definitely be interested. We just wanted to kind of cover that. And we'll, as it unfolds, I think we both have plus access or whatever. So I'll definitely check it out, see how that works. And we'll see if you're a hunch about the whole Nike thing. If that's, if they have some kind of, maybe this is the way to get around it. Maybe they're just like, hey, we're going to have to partner with, a service that provide that. And maybe you have to go through that service like Chrome or Google's, shopping feature, I guess, or whatever the case is. So it's just interesting. We'll see how that goes. And if I come up on some new shoes, man.
Hey, speaking of, I copped some shoes this past week. My first cop of the year, actually. I've been kind of laying low on shoes, as you would imagine. I have enough, but I had some speak to me, and they spoke back. You
Guess
know,
what?
listen, they were whispering. I said something to them. They spoke back, so I copped them. There was a release, so I'm excited about them. This is a shoe that came out that I know not everyone is going to have, which is what I like, especially
You
nowadays.
want you want to show them off, or you gonna
Hey
just
man,
gonna
I got to
let
keep them under wraps for
keep them on the
until they're
wraps?
ready to
Okay, I got
until
you.
they're look. Got to keep them on ice until they're ready to be thawed out and
That
shown.
makes sense.
So you never know. Might just pop out when I pop out with them. But just know I just know I got some stuff. I got some stuff. You know what I mean?
For sure. Well, yeah, man. I think that's cool. We'll definitely keep y'all posted. Definitely make sure to comment below on your thoughts about that. How AI is just, definitely jumping into the culture and mixing things up. We know AI has already been like bots in general have been a thing before. Now they're just a lot more sophisticated. So it's going to be really interesting to see how these new shopping tools and, I guess approved bots, if you will, how they kind of play in that same landscape, man. So we'll keep y'all posted. Anything else you got, Deuce?
Hey man, all I'm saying is if you know, you know. If you don't, go find out and ask Gemini. This is not an ad or this ain't sponsored, but I'm just saying they know a little something, something. But of course, as always, like, comment, subscribe, and share, and we'll catch y'all on the next one.
Peace.